Hello, welcome to Shad Life. In this video, because somebody requested it, I thought not a bad idea. It's like raining and cold outside. It's blah. So I'm definitely not riding. So the ask was to go through each one of my bikes. And so I'm going to go through each bike and talk a little bit about it. Mainly just what it's for, what I use it for, and kind of what parts are on it. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is whether it's a keeper or not. Do I plan on having the bike for the long term, or is it a short term bike, or what my future plans are with it? So let's go ahead and get started. And since the Swamp Master is in the stand behind me right now, we're going to start with that bike. Okay, so this obviously is my next choice to put in this video because this is my primary bike. So if you were to ask, what is your primary bike? You know, mountain bike, let's say, right? This is it. My Rustler, it's been, it's a 2020 model, so I've had it a few years now. I've upgraded it. I've got this thing dialed exactly how I want it, all the way down to the seat. Like, this bike is dialed, and I even have the SRAM Axis on here, so it's got that SRAM Auto setup. I've been loving that. It still has the oval chainring on it, things like that. So my default, I'm gonna go ride it, mountain bike, is this one. This is my all-around shredder. It feels so perfect for me. And it's one of those neutral kind of bikes that I talk about. I feel like geometry-wise, this is the sweet spot right here. 66-degree head angle, 130 millimeters of rear travel, 150 front. Just, it rides so good. I can jump with this thing. I can hit the gnarly rough stuff, downhill, whatever. This bike does everything I want it to do. So, by far, my most used and favorite bike in my stable. Lately, I've been riding a lot of other bikes to test them out and so on and so forth. So I neglected this one, but every time I get back on it, and you just see me riding it in this last video I did about fall riding in Cuyuna, I realize how good this bike is. And I'm so glad that Salsa brought it back for 2023, because this is a 2020. They didn't have a 2021 or a 2022 model, and they brought it back for 2023. They haven't changed a thing as far as the geometry goes. The part selection is a little different, but geometry, spot on. I do believe they still have an aluminum version of this, so for people that can afford it, and carbon version. So this is, if I was to tell you what the ideal mountain bike for kind of all-around uses out there, this would be one of the ones I would say, by all means, this is it. So there you have it. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, of course I got to talk about the Hayduke. So the reason I'm holding the frame here is this bike started out as a complete Hayduke with mostly XT components on it. And that's where it got its start, and it's evolved to this, which is titanium frame and a bunch of upgraded parts. So let's talk about the Hayduke for a second. So I just talked about my Rustler. That's my full suspension bike. That's my baby. And this is my hardtail. This is my baby. This thing has evolved over time, and it's been kind of a test platform for a lot of things and so on and so forth. But the way it's set up right now, I love it. And I actually have two sets of wheels for this. So right now, it has the bird spoke wheels on it, carbon rims, these rope spokes, whole video on that. It's got the wolf tooth pedals. I mean, it's pretty decked out. It's got the DVO, Sapphire D1 fork on there. I love this bike. And again, same saddle that's on my Rustler, because I really like this Ergon SM Pro tie rails and everything. So yeah, this is the titanium frame that I replaced the yellow frame I just showed you with and put all the parts on. But now I've even evolved the parts to where there's not a whole lot stock left on this bike. I'd say the cranks and the stem, the headset, and that's it. Not even the post is stock anymore. So yep, completely upgraded. Love this bike. And my other set of wheels is a set of 27.5 carbon wheels with 2.6 tires on them for my more rowdy riding on this bike. And then these are my more XC riding wheels for speed and so on and so forth. If I want to do any events and want to try to get a good time, I'm going to run these wheels and so on and so forth. So yep, Thai Hayduke, absolutely awesome. So this and my Rustler are probably my two primary mountain bikes that are definitely keepers in my stable. Well, while I'm on the subject of Eskers, I have the Jaffe. So the Jaffe I got in the late winter, early spring this year, and I was given a good deal on it. And so I decided to buy it and try it out because I wanted to see what a 29-inch, hardtail would be like. That's set up pretty aggressively. This is a pretty aggressive geometry. Still in that kind of neutral sweet spot, not like that overly aggressive geometry, but it's definitely a fun bike, fun to jump, fun to ride. I took this to Fruta, rode it a lot in Fruta, rode a trail called More Fun. Really liked this bike. So I haven't really done much of any upgrades to it. It's pretty close. I think it's stock. Yeah, it is stock. So yeah, I haven't done any upgrades to it. I like it. I mean, it has Industry 9 wheels. There's not really much upgrade. And XT components, XT brakes. There really isn't anything to even upgrade on this bike, to be honest. So yeah, this is stock. Super nice. Liking it. Not 100% sure I'm going to keep it. Still on the fence about that. It's probably because I feel like I have too many hardtails and something's going to have to give. So not sure I'll keep it, but there's might be a chance that I do because I really do like how it rides. Right? But I have the Esker Hayduke, which I've set up to be quite kind of modular, like I can change things out on it and stuff and make it kind of the bike I want just by changing a few parts. So it kind of makes this bike like why do I have it, why do I need it kind of bike. So as awesome as it is, I'm not 100% sure I'm going to keep it. We'll see. All right, let's go on to the next one. And the Nuke Proof. So basically this bike evolved and came to be because I got the Poseidon Norton and wanted to review that. And then I took that frame and updated a whole bunch of parts on it so I could make it more rideable because the stock Poseidon Norton absolutely sucked. Especially with a 7.5 pound fork and a 60 or 70 millimeter stem, whatever, too long of a stem. So I ended up getting this frame and switching all the parts on here and then upgrading parts. And so this is just a combination of a bunch of things that happened, and it's in my stable now. I like it. It's a sweet bike. Again, it's another one of those bikes that I'm not 100% sure I'm going to keep. I just am not sure. Again, I've got 3 hardtails in my stable. And this one kind of acts like a DJ bike in a way because it is definitely more aggressive, longer. I bought the higher rise bars, things like that. And there's kind of some unfortunate news about Nuke Proof. We don't know the future of the Nuke Proof brand right now because there's just been some news about the parent company going bankrupt and blah, blah, blah. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, this may or may not stay in my stable. This is one of those bikes that if I decide it's going away, it's definitely going to be some kind of special thing on my channel where it may be given away. I don't know. That might be one of the things I decide to do. We'll see. Subscribe, stay tuned to find out if that's what happens, because that would be a pretty sweet deal for somebody. All right, let's move on to the next bike. All right, my DJ bike. So this evolved from the Haro Steel Reserve I originally had. Then I upgraded all the parts on that. And then last winter, my friend had this frame available and wanted to get rid of it. And so I bought it from him. I got this Identity XL fork on here and so on and so forth. So this bike is my DJ bike, 26-inch wheels. I love it. It's definitely a keeper, although S&M is supposedly going to make a 26-inch DJ frame. And if they do, I'm going to buy it if I can get one, because I don't know. Again, sometimes there's limited supply. I miss the opportunity or whatever, but I would love to replace this frame with an S&M frame, S&M DJ frame, and so on and so forth. And there's a few other things I've been wanting to upgrade. The wheels, I actually wouldn't mind having a front brake on this bike, because then I could kind of do other things with it, like park riding and trials riding, stuff like that. So this bike will evolve, but it's definitely a keeper. I will probably always have a 26-inch DJ in my stable, whether it's this one or something else, whatever. But love this bike. Made in USA standard, profile, just profile cranks. You got that profile rear hub. I mean, super sweet. Even a profile helm stem. I mean, I've customized this bike to be really what I want it to be. So whenever I do that over time, and like the 80 millimeter rise handlebars, I end up having a bike that I just really love the feel of, and I don't want to change much from there. But S&M, let me know when your freaking DJ frame comes out. I will buy one, and it'll be on my channel. Sweet, let's move on to the next one. Okay, I know that there's some of you watching that were waiting to see this bike on here, or hoping that you were going to see it, and here it is, the low side. Everybody loves the low side. This bike isn't going anywhere. There's just, ever since the day I test rode one of these, and I bought one right away after that, there's something about this bike that just has my heart. Like, this is staying in my stable. It's probably going to evolve. I think I want to upgrade the brakes, things like that. But for the most part, it's just going to stay as is. I love it. I'm going to be riding it this upcoming weekend in an event. That's kind of an underground event, so I can't talk about it. But yes, this is the Surly low side. I love it. I don't ride this bike enough, but I will still ride it. So those of you that are wondering if I still have a low side, here it is. It's not going anywhere. This bike is awesome. It's like a BMX mountain bike or whatever. Like, there's just nothing else like it. It's so awesome. And it's a single speed, and I love single speeding. So there you have it, the low side. Do you want it a little longer on the screen? Because a lot of people want to just look at it. Okay, time to move on. Next bike. All right, so my DWA BMX bike. This is my freestyle bike, or whatever you want to call it. This is my primary BMX bike. Again, another one of those bikes that I've built up over time to be exactly what I want. And so again, this may change out parts and this and that. Like, I may get a different frame at some point. I may switch out bars. I may do whatever, right? But it'll always be in my stable, a BMX bike like this. But so far, I really like the way it's set up right now, so I don't have any plans on changing anything anytime soon. So this will be around for a while, and I like it. DWA, made in USA. This is one of those areas where I can go made in USA on a lot of things. Profile stem, profile cranks, profile chain ring, all of that's made in the US. Pretty stoked on that. Love the Colt Vans grips. They're so comfortable. I love this bike. So when I do all my skate park videos and so on and so forth, and so, yep, definitely staying in my stable. And definitely, it's got that Free Night free coaster, which is the planetary engagement free coaster. So it acts a lot like a regular cassette hub, but still has the free coaster ability. That's really nice. So you don't have that gap when you go to pedal forward that most free coasters have, so on and so forth. So you'll be seeing some of this over the winter when I ride it, like at Skaterapolis or whatever, and so on and so forth. So there you have it. Let's go on to the next bike. While we're on the topic of 20-inch BMX bikes, here is my BMX race bike, standard 125R. This bike's pretty decked out. It's got Onyx hubs, profile cranks, tangent flat iron, 31/8 bars, profile helm stem again. Very decked out. One of my challenges with this bike is it is probably the hardest bike for me to ride. Like skill wise, like even my DWA, the bike I just showed, like I can ride the skate parks just fine, things like that. This bike, it's all about speed. It's got a longer back end, a little bit longer front end. It's got an entirely different feel. It's like harder to pull up the front end, which is intentional with race bikes because you're going for speed and you want to be able to pull out of the gate as hard as you can and you don't want it looping out and stuff like that. So it's a very different feeling bike. It's kind of surprising because you'll see the other BMX bike and this one, and to most people they'll be like, oh, they're the same thing. It's like, no, they're not. This rides very differently. So I struggle with this bike. Like, I really don't know if I'm gonna ever like race BMX on this again or do anything like that. I just have no idea. I think my biggest thing is I don't want to get hurt. In racing in the 20-inch class at my age, you could definitely get hurt. And I took this out to Taft Park the other day and tried to ride it, and I felt really sketchy and uncomfortable on it. So I actually brought it back and grabbed my Rustler and took my Rustler there to jump that for a while to see how that jumped. So we're gonna see. I would really struggle to sell this bike, but I might, just because it might just be time for me to move on from this idea that I would ever race in the 20-inch class. And I still ride a 20-inch, my DWA. I ride the skate parks. I actually enjoy doing that more. I'm not super, I raced for many years and I just don't see myself doing it. I did the mountain bike class, which was a lot of fun and way more casual, but we will see what happens with this bike. Right now it's going to stay in my stable. I might actually go to the indoor track, Rum River, over the winter, try it a few times, see if I can get comfortable on it. But if I can't get comfortable on this bike and feel safe, I'm probably going to sell it and get rid of it, because it's just not worth it for me to get hurt because I'm pushing something that I've really past where I'm at. Jason and Stefan and those guys, they ride their BMX bikes enough, their race bikes, to where they look pretty comfortable on them. But me, every time I get on this bike, it scares me. It does, because it's fast. It's only weighs 21 pounds. It's super squirrely. It's just like, yeah. So we'll see. Let's go on to the next bike. This actually stays up leaning against the stand like that. That's kind of cool because there's no way that tire is fitting in there. Here we go. Salsa Mukluk, now called the Heyday for some reason. They changed the name of it. So if you're interested in a Mukluk, you're buying new, look for the Heyday, same bike essentially. This bike's pretty awesome. This is going to start seeing a lot of use here soon because winter's coming. I added a dropper on it. This is the bike that now has the June-Tech brakes that came on that Poseidon Norton. I've upgraded this to GX drivetrain, and so on and so forth. So carbon frame, carbon fork, super fun. Love riding this bike in the wintertime. Yeah, I added a dropper because that's mandatory. Hey, dropper, it's been sitting a while. It doesn't seem to want to work. Yep. There we go. Now it's working. It's kind of funny. If droppers sit for a long time, they don't necessarily want to work until you force them. But there you have it. That is an awesome bike to ride. Definitely got some videos that I'll be doing in the near future with this one, riding in the snow. So if you're into that kind of thing, definitely subscribe, hang around, it'll happen. Not sure what I'm going to change on this, if anything. I'm trying to figure out wheels, maybe decide with the kind of climate change and they're getting to be more icy conditions more often, I might have to break down and go to studs, things like that. But for the most part, this bike will stay the same, and it's definitely staying in my stable. Gotta have a fat bike when you live in Minnesota. It is a blast. Hope to get up to Cuyuna and ride and things like that. So, yep, there you have it. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, here we go. This is my Salsa Fargo. This is not a road bike or a gravel bike. Believe it or not, this is what they call a drop bar 29-inch mountain bike. Got true 29-inch mountain bike wheels and tires. It's got a lot of room to go much bigger. I could go plus size on this bike if I wanted to. This is basically designed to be like the ultimate bike packing rig, long distance rig, so on and so forth. When Salsa first came out with this bike, I was still working at QBP at the time. I remember their marketing was like, Fargo, go far. It was pretty funny. But I did the Filthy 50 on this bike. I haven't cleaned it since. I basically got done with that event, hung this bike up, and haven't touched it in the last couple of weeks. But you can see I clearly got the Wolftooth B-Rad system with a tube and an extra inflation device, things like that, because I run tubeless on here. And if you know tubeless, if you ever do get a flat and you break the bead, you're going to have a hard time getting the bead set. So you just have to give up and throw a tube in there. So I have that spare there, tools in there. I mean, this is all basically the way it was for the Filthy 50. I've got my little holder here for the computer to go on here for navigation, all that. If you haven't seen my video on the Filthy 50, check it out. It's a little bit longer, but it's pretty cool if you're into that kind of thing. But yeah, love this bike. Definitely staying in my stable. I do not have that many miles on this bike, believe it or not, because I don't really ride it that much. I really only use it for events and those long rides and stuff, which I don't get an opportunity to do a lot more. I do a lot more mountain biking and BMX and stuff. So, but here it is. It's staying in my stable. I'll definitely be riding it when I do those longer events and so on and so forth. And Bjorn, once again, has decided that he wants to be in my video. Dude, I'm down to one bike after this, and you made it in at the last moment. Yes, you did. All right, let's go to the next bike. I am actually going to move the camera and not move the bike because the bike is in my trainer right now. Hey, Bjorn. And here we go, the last bike. This is my State All-Road. I have the rear wheel right here. but it's in my Wahoo trainer, and I have the monitor up there. This is what I do Zwift with. So I basically have my sweat wicking clothes hanging there, my hydration, all of that, my keyboard, all that set up. And so this bike, I do ride it as kind of my primary commuter bike in the summer, but come winter, it goes in the stand and becomes my trainer bike, and it works really good for that. So this is a State 4130 all-road. So far, it's a keeper. I mean, I didn't expect that I was going to keep this bike when I bought it. I bought it to do like a budget review, but I've upgraded parts on it. I set it up tubeless. It now has SRAM Rival on it, and it's so comfortable. It's like this and my Fargo are just super comfortable bikes, and I love them. So this is a great commuter, definitely long distance, paved, light gravel kind of bike. That's why it's called an all-road. I have done gravel events on this. I've done the Meesville 56. And I think, what else have I done? I don't know if I've done any other events, but I've definitely done a lot of gravel rides on it with Michael Cycles and stuff like that. So, fun bike. Definitely love it. And it's that time of year to be set up for training. So there you have it. That's all the bikes that I have. I didn't even count them as I was doing it. I think it's 12, maybe, something like that. But yeah, that's everything I have. I am actually trying to thin the herd a little bit and have just at least a couple fewer bikes. That's where the Nuke Proof and the Jaffe might have to go. And maybe my 20-inch BMX race bike. I would probably be okay if I didn't have those 3 bikes and I just stuck with my Hey Duke and its different configuration capabilities, and with the other bikes in my stable. I think I would be fine with that. The more that I think about it, even right now in this very moment, the more I think, should I keep those bikes? We'll see. We'll find out. Awesome. I really do appreciate your support for my channel. Please like and subscribe. Definitely check out the link in the description for my new merch that I have out. Peace.